I've owned my BFG KO2s for 3.5 years, and in this video I'll cover what I love and hate about these tyres. I will also be covering the size I went for, purchase price, road noise, the change in miles per gallon, the overall mileage I've done, the grip on all the different types of terrain, the tread wearing characteristics, sidewalls and comfort. First off, why off-road tyres? I've had Volkswagen Transporters for years. I've had T5, T6 and probably about 7 T6.1s, and I was realising that I'd be pushing further and further out into the sticks in all types of weather. So when we stupidly went from 2 dogs to 4 dogs, we had to buy a bigger van, and I knew it was going to be a van that I was going to keep for a while. So I wanted to get a van that had really good base specs. Our base van is a MAN TGE 3180, 8-speed automatic, 4x4, long wheelbase with locking diff. I'll do a full review of the base van and how that's handled over the years, so subscribe if you want to get the lowdown on that. My alloys are the KMC hole shots, which I'm really happy with, and I'll give a bit of a review at the end of this on how they performed as well. But the size, 245 65 R17s. What did I pay? For the 4 tyres that I bought at the time, I paid £651, including the VAT. What miles have I done? When we got our van, there was about 4,000 miles on the clock, and since then we're up to 29,000 miles. So we've done 25,000 miles. Now, one of the benefits to putting the tyres on the van really early is that I can answer a couple of other additional questions that will be really handy to know. First up, road noise. There was literally no change in road noise. So this was an empty van, just picked up. We just put the tyres and alloys on it. There was no difference in road noise whatsoever. Miles per gallon. We've got adaptive cruise control, and on the way there, we set it at 65 miles an hour. On the way back, we did the same, and there was literally 1 mile per gallon difference. Now, whether this was just discrepancy, we could have been going uphill, downhill, I don't know, but basically there's very little change on an empty van. What PSI do I run? I used to run around sort of 50, 51, but we've since reduced down to sort of 48, and we're finding that 48 is good because after you've been driving them for a while, if you feel the sidewalls stay cool, so there's no stress on the sidewalls. However, the comfort with the tyres is really good. The best way for you to test it is build your van. As you add more weight, just keep doing that. Sort of let the tyres down a little bit more until you can sense that the comfort is perfect for you, and then keep checking the sidewall, the tyres. If the sidewalls start getting too warm, then you know you're probably putting too much stress on your sidewalls. If it stays cool, you might be able to let a little bit more air out and just kind of judge it in that way. So how have they worn, and have they worn in a sort of regular uniform pattern? Pretty much, yeah, there's hardly any issues in terms of noise or vibration, which is what you normally get when tyres kind of wear unevenly. We've had no issues with tracking or pulling, and again, that's a benefit to having your tyres fitted at a professional place, because they can then do the tracking and make sure that all the alignment is correct with your wheels for your van. A couple of things to note on these for the people that are buying them for the very first time. When you buy them, you will have a sort of blue film across the white lettering on them. You can just jet wash this off, it comes off. But if you're wondering when you get your tyres why they sent you the ones with the blue writing, that's just a protective film. The second thing to remember is that you can choose whether you want to be white writing club or black writing club. Each to their own, everyone's got their own preference. You've got the option of either having the white writing showing, or you can turn the other way around and have the black writing showing. Grip. We've really had the van probably in situations it doesn't need to be in, especially with it being a camper and the added weight, and especially with it being a long wheelbase. But on mud, it's been really good. It's handled well. If we do have wheels spinning, we do have the option of putting the diff lock on, which will then ensure that one wheel off the ground is not spinning wildly whilst the other one's getting traction. So that just enables things to kind of work a lot better. On grass, remember when we was camping in Arran and there was like a really steep hill to get down to this place that we wanted to get to near the water. In the morning when we got up, it had got a little bit boggy, and just knowing that we could drive back up that hill without any worry. Because when I spoke to the farmer, he said, "Is that 4-wheel drive?" And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because people always get stuck at the bottom and I have to come with my tractor and tow people out." Snow. We've been to Scotland in the snow, we've been around the peaks in the snow, and whilst other people are struggling and slipping and kind of doing that whole thing where the vehicle kind of moves to the side a little bit, the van, including the weight, we've had it when there was hardly any weight in the van, and as we've kind of built it out to a camper van, it handles really well for a big, heavy vehicle. Fire roads near Gord are amazing. The trails there are brilliant, and just having tyres that were able to handle all the undulation and all like the steep bits of that were perfect. Possibly the worst road we've ever been on was one in the Lake District, which I'm not going to mention because I'm not even sure we should have been on that road, but it was horrendous. I was reading stories of some of the really high suspension, high clearance 4x4 vehicles that let the tyres down to almost nothing to get up the main hill, and we just bottled it. Like, everything was shaking around in the van. The van's just not got the clearance for that type of stuff, and it's more for a shorter wheelbase vehicle. But last and not least, tarmac. You're going to spend most of your time on tarmac, and weirdly enough, that's where we've had some of our close calls. The trickiest tarmac road by a long way is Hard Knock Pass in the Lake District. If you've got a medium wheelbase, it's absolutely no problem, but there's a certain turn which is notorious for lots of crashes. You end up with no room to do a 3-point turn or reverse, and you end up with just two wheels. As you go over the top and you turn left, your front right and your back left end up just not even on the ground. So we got over it, absolutely shit ourselves. There was a lady behind us in a Land Rover. She was shouting at us out the window. She thought, because the wheel was that high off the ground, she thought we was going to go over the edge and crash. And I think in situations where you're kind of half on tarmac, half on grass, I don't know, say you're going past someone or you're overtaking, you just feel really stable. So with all that said, how could they be better? Well, the only way I think these could be better is by maybe being a little bit softer. So if they're a little bit softer, you'd have a little bit of extra grip, but the downfall would then be durability, and I think that's where these really excel. I generally thought that I would have to change these tyres after a year because they're big chunky tyres, and that they would wear rather unevenly, and that the road noise, I would get pissed off and I'd want to change them. I've been keeping an eye out for that, or I should say an ear out for that, and I've just had no issues whatsoever. The sort of downside is not something I would change. I would have a slightly harder rubber that maybe grips a little bit less but lasts longer, because most of the time I'm not off-road, most of the time I'm on-road. So I wish I was where you are now and I had this video when I was trying to make my choice and buy the tyres. And my advice to myself back then would be, go for it. And here's the reason. Because the tyres are a really good brand name, you are in the enviable position of, once you get to a point where you've still got good tread on your tyres, you can upgrade to a newer set. We're off to France soon, and one of the things that I want to do is make sure that the tyres are going to be good and reliable. Now, mine are still sound and I could use them absolutely no problem. But I think what I'm going to do is monopolise on that resale value, buy some new tyres, and then I'll still be able to sell my old tyres, and they will be great for someone who can't afford brand new tyres or is not that bothered and just wants a sort of part worn pair. But again, as I say, that is the benefit. So my advice to me is to go ahead, buy the tyres, don't worry about it. There's no road noise, they grip really well, and the resale value will be really good. Likewise, if you've had KO2s, leave a comment and let me know what you think.